All right, good morning, agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing here at Alta Realty Group. And today we're going to go into even more ways to use AI in your real estate business. So I'm learning pretty much almost on a weekly basis new ways to employ AI technologies into what I'm doing. And that leads to, things that you guys can be doing. So it is just exploding. So many things that you can do. So we're going to go through a short list of the new things that and we're going to review some of the other things that we've already gone over, but really, really important stuff. Very, very key in streamlining your real estate business and making sure that you're taking advantage of the technology that is available to us now in 2025. So before we get into today's presentation, I'm going to bring corporate broker Bill Seitz on the line. Bill, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. How are we today?
We are good. Welcome back from your trip.
Yeah, well, I got a nice little time out. It's never enough, but I'll take what I can get. Went up to the mountains and did some hiking with my dog and some fly fishing. And um, the beauty of that is there's no reception in a lot of those areas.
Thank goodness you deserve a break, my friend.
And not that I don't like to talk to all of y'all and do this what we do on a daily basis, but for everybody, it's kind of throws you back to a time when we didn't have phones attached to our hips and text messages pinging all day and all that good stuff. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is really
It's so important, Bill. You have to have take that time. And, we of course encourage all of you agents to do the same thing periodically and just, recharge the batteries. You come back a lot more fired up and ready to do your job.
yeah. Half the time I didn't know where my phone was, so that was
That's
that was a good
glorious.
thing.
I don't remember what that's like.
I was more focused on catching little native rainbow trout, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, had a nice time. Thanks for asking, Kevin. Thanks for everybody who just navigated the week. If they had issues with other partners and other staff and management, that is helpful. But I do want to go into the broker tip for, I believe it was this week, right?
Yeah.
Talking about TCs and collection of documents, right? Um, and so sometimes we get to the finish line and we are ready, or we think we're ready for the CDA, but there's certain documents maybe that the other side hasn't provided, or you're still waiting on them. A TC is good for many things, and sometimes we use them to write contracts if they're licensed. Sometimes they do more than other TCs, but I think it's really important to understand that you're the license holder in this transaction. And sometimes these TCs run up against difficult other parties, difficult other TCs, difficult other agents, and don't maybe perform their, you know, required, you know, job on that side. And so there's trailing documents, things aren't done on time. But you really need to support your TC in the same capacity that they're supporting you. And you need to jump in if you're not getting the documents at the finish line. Because as a brokerage, we can't have disclosures like the TDS, which you guys all know or should know. Or if you don't know, now you do know. Is the backbone of every transaction, the transfer disclosure statement. That's going to be the absolute foundational piece. If you ever have to go to mediation, I've had to do it, or arbitration, um, while we have many, many, many disclosures, the big one's going to be the TDS. And so that one, and there's a few others that are just critical. And we as a brokerage cannot, responsibly release commission disbursement authorizations without having the most, fundamental pieces to a transaction. So the tip is, if your TC is struggling to get documents, you need to step in as the licensee and really support them and get that documentation in. Listen, we want everyone to get paid at the freaking closing table, as soon as possible. That is always been our philosophy. But, there's times where you're going to have to go the extra mile and do the extra effort too, or work, alongside your TC to get those documents. It's just that important.
Yeah, that is key. So really good point, Bill. I'm glad you brought that up. And I don't think that we're going to be joined this morning by Amelia Hollow from Clearview Mortgage. Did you want to give us just a quick mortgage update? I can bring up the 10-year treasury.
Yeah, do that. And then just one last thing on the disclosures. A lot of times I'm seeing the AVIDs, the agent visual inspection disclosure, not being there at the end of the transaction either. That one is an important one as well. And I always encourage agents just to do it, get it out of the way. Like if you go into contract with a buyer and you go and you're there for the physical inspection, or you're there, previewing the property for the third time, and you're making the offer and it's going to get accepted, just knock that out of the way, get it done. It's not it's going to take you probably no more than a half an hour. If you're diligent and you are making notable things about the property, every property has something to note. I can find something in a new home. Obviously with the more trained eye that you have, the more things you're going to notice. You're not trying to kill the deal, but it's a reasonable visual inspection of the property. And whether being in the fences has termite, maybe some termites, or maybe there's a crack in the back patio, or maybe there's, some discoloration on the carpet, whatever it is, that's what that's for. And it's, once again, it's not to kill the deal. You don't got to say this place is a dump and blah, 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 but you are expected to have a reasonable, you know, mechanism of analyzing a property. And that one's probably the number one disclosure that's trailing, and that I don't see agents doing a good enough job on getting that done early. If it's a listing, that's even easier. You can do that one before you even get into contract, right? Because you've already been to the property, you've been with the homeowner, it's the things that probably are going to have to be addressed. Just get it done. Like, it's just it just makes it harder for everybody at the end of the line to process the transaction. So that's the other one, Kevin. Sorry, that being long-winded this morning, but unfortunately, sometimes we got to point that stuff out.
No, really important, Bill. So no problem there. And you're right. Just absolutely knock that out right when you get to the property first time. Just get it done.
Yeah, it's easy. It doesn't, I like I said, I don't sell as much property as you guys do because I'm doing other things, but I still have some friends and family that are referrals that come up time to time. I make sure that I do that very early in the game. I do not let that thing hang around. So I think that that's a good policy to have. Okay. Yes. Mortgage rates. We are pretty just stagnant. Haven't really, moved too much from that 4.3, 4.4, little ticks here and there. But one thing we are seeing in the market is that there is, some inventory piling up. Days on market are a little bit longer. Buyers are actually having a better chance to negotiate concessions and better terms. So as I speak to this ad nauseum, and I was on the phone with the rep at United Wholesale yesterday, probably our go-to number one investor bank, wholesale, United Wholesale. We had a discussion about how much these buy downs are coming back into play. This is for where we are in the state of the world, the economy, the cost of living. These buy downs are the best thing going. And when we were talking about these a year or two ago, they were rolling them out, it was still a little harder to do because sellers were still kind of in the driver's seat with the concessions. But now that the concessions are opening up and sellers like, hey, I'm going to sell my property, I'm willing to be a little more flexible, I'm willing to work with the buyer's agent, absolutely try to put this together for your buyer. I mean, they're going to get into a start rate potentially 3 percentage points below the note rate. I mean, that is huge. I mean, it's a really powerful tool. You guys don't need to know everything about it. I'm not going to go into it today, but you can certainly call Amelia. You can call myself. You can call Bruce or anybody on the team to learn more about it. But these are just tools that absolutely should be utilized in this market.
Yeah, huge, Bill. All right, perfect. Well, Bill, thank you for the insights as usual. Much appreciated.
Yep.
We are going to switch gears and we are going to start talking about AI. So, as I said, AI is just, exploding, unless you've been living under a rock. Everybody's hearing about it. Everybody's, seeing, that is just growing leaps and bounds. So, I put together a short list of things that you can do. And some of these we've gone over, but some of them are going to be new. But ways that you can use AI today in your real estate business, and you all should be doing this. So there are three of my favorite AI platforms: ChatGPT, Claude, and Grok. And so you can choose any one of those. I bounce around between them, and I'll show you. I'll show you those in a second here. But so these are our AI tools. There are AI platforms. You can do paid versions of all three of them. You can do free versions of at least ChatGPT and Grok, but very powerful and very, very easy to use. So we're going to go through a few of these. So the first one is, and some of these require some additional software, but for lead qualification and nurturing, you can implement an AI-driven CRM system to automatically score, qualify, and segment inbound leads based on their online behavior and what they're doing. So this is something that you can, research on your own. You can find out, some of these specific AI qualification nurturing systems, but they are there and they can be used. So it's a pretty interesting thing because, by automating these repetitive lead management tasks and, getting those things done basically on autopilot, you're freeing up your time for more valuable stuff that that you actually need a human interaction for and a human brain for. So not a bad idea to employ that. Number two is AI powered virtual tours and staging. So we do have a great photography company, Preview First. They do all the staging, but you can, in this day and age, you can also use AI. So really, really cool. You can put in your picture of an empty room, and you can tell AI, hey, go ahead and virtual stage it. And is it going to be as perfect as what Preview First does for you? Not really, but it will be if you needed it, it will be a more cost-effective way of doing that. So that can be done as well. You can personalize property recommendations. So you can employ these AI algorithms that analyze the client preferences, their search history, their budget, their suggested listings. So what you can do is you can go into your own CRM, you can look and see what a client has been looking at. Then you can go ahead and put that data into the chat GPT or the AI prompt, and you can ask it how to best recommend something for your client. So, and the system continually learns from user interactions. So you can refine, the future recommendations. You can, and basically what this does is it really does enhance your client's satisfaction by delivering the most relevant options that they actually will be looking for. So super, super cool that you can, use AI in that regard. Intelligent scheduling assistance. So you can, and that's another tool that you can, you guys can research, but you can rely on an AI-based scheduling tool that automatically coordinates showings, meetings, open houses. It'll sync the agent and client calendars, and it can, consider travel times. They can suggest optimal times and even handle the rescheduling. So really, really incredible stuff that AI is doing these days. You can also use AI generated marketing content and social media posts. I've talked about that many times, but I do encourage you guys to use AI, the writing platforms to create these really good, engaging listing descriptions. It does an amazing job, especially for our agents that English is their second language. This can really help create very, very meaningful and very powerful descriptions for the properties. And so all you'll do is literally just put in the list of attributes. You don't have to worry about creating the good the right language. You just put in a list of attributes and say, please write me a very compelling, strong worded, engaging property description. And that's pretty much all you have to do in the prompt, and it'll spit out something that is really, really good. And I'm always amazed at how good these descriptions and these things end up, because in most cases it writes it way better than you or me. Um, so another one is enhanced market and price analysis. Same kind of thing. You can put in the data that you're receiving on your website. You can put in data from Zillow, you can put in data that you're seeing in the news, and you can have AI create an analysis of what's going on in the greater market. Another thing that I've done is I've taken the Altos reports that DJ Bibb spits out on Mondays, and I've taken that information, thrown it straight into the Chat GPT or the Claude AI prompt, and said, give me, a 2-paragraph analysis of what's going on in the market in Newport Beach, this week. And that's something that you can take that, you can put it into your CRM system. You can blast it out to your clients. You can send it directly to a specific client that is looking for something, what they're looking for. Same thing there is you can say, you know exactly what a specific client's looking for. You can take that data, put it straight into the Chat GPT prompt, and have it spit out in a 2-paragraph synopsis of what's going on and which homes might be right for that client. And so what that does, of course, is that gives your client a very, very tight synopsis of what they are looking for, and it can be very, very helpful to them. So, and it takes very little time to do this, which is amazing. 7 is client sentiment and feedback analysis. So you can use AI to monitor and analyze client feedback from emails, surveys, social media, detecting positive and negative sentiments regarding properties. So that can be very, very interesting for yourself in order to see exactly what the trends are and what your clients are actually doing and what they're thinking. Automated document preparation and review. Why not? Right? So you can adopt an AI-powered tool that can draft, review, and highlight discrepancies in contracts and disclosures and other real estate documents. You can also, along those same lines, if you have something that's going on with your deal, and let me just bring up an example here. So I'm going to share my other screen with you. Here we go. All right, so here, and again, this is the Chat GPT OpenAI platform. This one is the Claude app form. So they're very, very similar. But what you can do is, say you have a situation, and this was a real situation that we came across last week while Bill was gone. So I'm just going to literally paste this in here, and I'm going to generate the prompt. It could take a second. All right. So this is, an agent. Here, we'll let it do its thing real quick here. Okay. So an agent had a question about termite clearance, and the question was, this is a condo, and at the last minute, the annual termite inspection report, um, they were requiring the annual inspection report from the HOA because it was a condo. And the agent wasn't sure if they were asking for a clearance as well. The agent likely, wanted both the termite inspection report and a clearance. And for a condo, kind of what do you do? So if you put that question into ChatGPT, it spits out what is typically required. So it literally comes out termite inspection report. Buyers often want the most recent termite inspection for the property and a clearance that it even, um, gave us the clarification between the report and the clearance. So this means the evidence that finding recommendations have been addressed and the property is clear of active infestation or damage. And then it even goes into okay, so for condos, there's common areas, exterior, usually handled by the HOA. They often schedule annual termite inspections and treatments as needed for common areas for building exteriors. Thank you very much. And for interior, this typically the owner's responsibility unless the HOA also covers interiors. So you have to check with your CCNRs. And then it goes into, well, how do you handle this? So it goes through an entire summary of exactly how an agent could handle this or a recommendation on how they can handle this. So this can be used, if you're working on something late at night and you can't get a hold of Bill, you can't get a hold of of somebody from ARG. It's not a bad idea to get a recommendation from AI on how to, navigate a certain situation. So you can literally put in, what the problem is into ChatGPT and have it spit out a recommendation. So I won't go through the entire thing, but you can see it is a very, very detailed analysis of how you could handle this situation, how to handle it, timeline and negotiation. It goes through, and a very thorough analysis on how to do this. And then it has a little summary at the bottom. So it's a very, very powerful way to get in kind of another way to look at something. And so I thought that that was a really, really cool thing. And so when I came across that, I was pretty excited. I was like, oh, well, that's another way to use, AI. So getting back to our graphic here, um, you can use AI to predict you can use AI for predictive analytics for buyer and seller behavior, right? So you can, put into ChatGPT that, when, when would clients be ready to buy, sell, refinance based on life indicators, and market behavior. And so agents can then proactively reach out with targeted offers or personalized outreach, increasing repeat business. So predictive analysis also helps, time marketing campaigns for maximum relevance. So this makes client engagement more strategic, more data-driven, more thoughtful. And so that's a great way to use ChatGPT. And then obviously AI enhanced communication tools. So, um, email assistance, routine client inquiries, appointment confirmations, follow-ups, all those things can be used with AI. Then I've put together some great prompts like this. So these are actual prompts that I'll put out in the replay that you guys can use, and they're just all you have to do is just copy and paste this into ChatGPT. So the first one, of course, is just creating a listing descriptions. That's what I think everybody should be doing. Just saves time, comes out great. Once it spits out, of course, you'll want to read it and you want to maybe even put your spin on it a tiny bit, but it will save you so much time. But literally, you can put this prompt in and you will get a very, very well-read description. So for social media posts, you can take this prompt, generate 5 engaging social media post ideas to promote an upcoming open house at blah, blah, blah property address. Include catchy headlines and a sample hashtags, right, for your relevant city. And it'll give you what what ChatGPT or Claude or Grok recommends. Email follow-up draft a friendly follow-up email to a prospective home buyer who toured the property yesterday, express appreciation for their visit, and ask if they have questions about the property or would like to schedule a second viewing. So super cool that you can just have ChatGPT or AI just create these email follow-ups. You can email them directly. You can also employ them into your CRM system. Market analysis summary, just like I said earlier, summarize recent market trends for single-family homes in, Lido Island, Newport Beach, zip 92663 over the past year, focusing on average sales prices, inventory levels, days on the market. Present this in a clear, client-friendly language for a newsletter. Boom. And you can also take some data from an Altos report, say also summarize information from the following info, and then have it spit out a very client-friendly newsletter. Client question responses. So the prompt would be, provide a detailed but concise answer to this common client question. What should I do to prepare my home for sale to maximize its value? Include 5 practical tips and explain the benefits. Next one is personalized recommendation message. Write a personalized text message recommending 3 listings for a client who wants a 2-bedroom condo, dog-friendly, with a maximum budget of $450,000 in downtown San Diego. Mention why each property might fit their needs. So super simple prompts that are just ready for you guys to use here. Content repurposing, rewrite this blog post excerpt about mortgage pre-approval in simpler language suitable for a first-time home buyer and make sure it's short enough for a social media caption. Very, very cool, very concise. Virtual tour script. You can put this prompt in, create a virtual tour script for a video walkthrough of whatever property address, highlighting the main selling points, upgrades, and neighborhood amenities. Keep the tone friendly and enthusiastic. So you can always, and as you guys start to use these ChatGPT and Claude and Grok, you'll start to get the feel for how the information is getting spit out, and you can start to get better. I'm starting to get better at using things like, keep the tone friendly and enthusiastic, or telling the AI bot, how you want to, how you want it to actually come out. Also, what you can do is once it's spit out, you can just put in, oh, you know what? This is good, but I want you to enhance it by blah, blah, blah. So you can really dial these things in and make it better. And it does an amazing job of doing that, quite frankly. Appointment reminders. Draft a polite SMS reminder for a client about their scheduled property showing at whatever address tomorrow at 3 p.m., including parking instructions and a request to confirm attendance. So why the heck wouldn't you do that? So these are super simple prompts that you guys can use today once I put the replay out. But I want you guys to if you don't have any one of these chat bots, I want you to, at least today as your homework, find the one that you like. Like I said, start with ChatGPT. They have a free version. They also have a paid version. But at least get your AI bot up and running. And that way, when you are tasked with one of the millions of things that you have to do as a real estate agent, you at least try it out and see how it works for you. So that is my my pitch for the day, is at least check it out, Start messing around with it. And then I want you guys to come back to me with questions on how you can enhance, what you're doing. And you guys can always contact me directly. So that's my presentation for today. Bill, any takeaways from today's AI presentation?
Sorry there. I couldn't find the unmute button.
Been there.
I was like, wait, I'm panicking now. Um,
You're good.
yes, the AI thing is crazy. It's mind blowing. You know, it's all new to us. To all of us in some capacity. Those of you that are ahead of the curve, I applaud you for not being afraid of it. It was kind of like I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Kevin. Like the 4 or 5 stages of uh, product absorption, and you have the early adopters, you've got the next layer of people, then you've got the next layer, and then the last group is the laggards, like the people that like wait till the it's already like been utilized by everybody. I
Yeah.
think unfortunately, I think in any industry, this is not going anywhere but forward. So this is the industry that we have to apply it to, and this stuff is all really good. Like I love that stuff, especially for the marketing,
Yeah.
and that's just really easy stuff to start with. Like you said, just start trying it. Just, you know what I mean? Like if your next listing or your next marketing piece, just try it out. Like, it's like
Yeah.
not going to bite you back. It's not going to jump through the screen and get you. But I know it feels weird, and it's really foreign to a lot of us. I mean, I just used it the other day for one of our agents, and just in my role for the company. Raymond Doucette was asking about the FHA mandatory clause, and I had to refresh my memory of it because I hadn't come across that circumstance in a while, and that was basically you can't cancel out an FHA buyer if the property doesn't appraise for the agreed upon price. They cannot lose their deposit even if they've released their contingencies. So I was able to give him a couple quick sentences on my thoughts about it as the broker, but then I was also to find a really clear and concise explanation of it to help support you know my position on it. So it's very useful, and so I think it is something that we got to start adopting. The banks are starting to use it. United Wholesale, as I talked to you about earlier, I had my meeting with the rep yesterday. They have their own internal AI. It's called Chat UWM, I believe. And so, like, I can go in there, or Amelia, or Bruce, or anybody can go in there and look up guidelines, or ask questions into their into the lending platform, and it'll spit out where to find stuff. And so, I mean, it's all moving in this direction.
Yeah.
um, Once again, I think it's better to be on the front end of this stuff before it gets away from. I mean, because next year it's going to be that much more advanced. The next year it's going to be that more advanced, and if we're not at least just incorporating a little bit of it into our business and staying relevant with it, and you can even because other people are going to be talking about it too, right?
Yeah.
And the people that are using it the most effectively are the ones that are going to win the business,
For sure.
and that's just the reality. Um, I really do like. I appreciate you, Kevin, putting those. I think that was a list of 10 things.
Yeah.
So that's just really a great starting point. Just start using it like in that capacity. Those are all really functional, practical things that you can do. And if once again, if you're not doing newsletters, if you're not doing social media, if that's your weak point of your business, and you haven't been doing those things that we preach preach at nauseum, this is the time to do it. I mean, you can literally spit out a news. You could have this whole thing done, and I guarantee you in less than 20 minutes.
For sure. No, that's a good point.
So,
And so, and
oh,
also, Don Kearney says that Perplexity is a good AI system for real estate. There are a lot of different systems out there, as we know. And then new agent Sean also made a good point that you do need to kind of balance the AI with you need to read through it. You can't just go with exactly what it says every time. You do need to make sure that because sometimes it will come up with something that is not exactly perfect, and so you always have to go through the AI and make sure that it is,
Approve it, edit it.
edit it, look at it, make sure that it makes sense. Also, in our example, um, you know, if you're asking a question about real estate, you do also want to balance that with, asking Bill and like making sure that is exactly what, a qualified, broker human also agrees with, right?
Yeah. And Tasha Wilmore says, make sure it's in tune with your personality and branding. I agree with that 100%. You don't want to be pushing out something that is, your whole, sphere of influence is like that. That doesn't sound like Kevin. That's not Bill. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
you want to make sure that mirrors your personality and reflects how you conduct business for sure.
Exactly. And as I said, what you can do is as you get better at this, you can start to understand the kind of the tweaks and the prompts that you can put in that make it sound like your personality and make it sound like your branding. And as you use it, it will, morph and it does learn. I've got a friend that is creating a system that will remember exactly what and as soon as he has it done, I'm actually going to bring him on the webinar, and see if his product is something for you guys. But it will remember how what you sound like, what your personality is, and it will make sure that when it spits out whatever it's spitting out, it remembers that, and it enhances exactly that. So pretty excited for that. But that's just so many things that are coming out like that, making AI even more powerful and tweaking it. So I mean, a few years ago when AI first came out and people were using it, it you could tell that it was a computer, right? So now it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and I think too, like I look at it also for efficiency, Kevin. Like it's like you can kind of get more done, with certain, aspects of the business
Yeah.
using it. So it's not, obviously, I don't think, hopefully, my hope, my personal hope, this is only my belief, that we don't let it take over every aspect of our lives, but it's a
Yeah.
tool that allows us to be more efficient and to be, and to procure more business and to be a little more polished. But, we'll see where this all ends up. But you can mark one thing down. We will be on the front end of it, and we will make sure you are too.
That is a fact, Bill. Well, agents, thanks for joining us on a lovely Wednesday, and we really appreciate you guys coming on to our Wednesday webinars. With that said, make it a great week and a productive week, and we will see you all next Wednesday on the webinar. Bye-bye.